Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the beginning of our 2023 garden. So if you like watching these kind of videos, just keep on watching. Alright guys, so yesterday I went downstairs. I got the seeds that I want to start for obviously 2023, and with my new Hobonichi calendar. Obviously, I'm sort of like a bullet journaler. In the past, I like to plan my life. If you see my previous videos, now I'm into this Hobonichi, which is kind of cool. It sort of works in my favor because of the fact that everything is already done in the books, like all the dates and stuff. That's about it. And it comes with monthly, weeklies, and dailies. And for the garden aspect of it, it sort of organizes me for when I need to do the seeds. So I did go in and wrote everything down before I wrote it in my permanent book. And what I ended up doing was, obviously you guys know that we are planning to leave sometime in our lives, sooner than later, we hope. And so the goal is to leave this year, so we're gonna plan as if we are leaving. Obviously there's a few aspects of that. Obviously we have to sell this house. Our other house is still not completely done. There's still a few quirks on it, and I guess that's the part of dealing with modular homes, starting fresh from raw land, because you have to do everything to it, right? The sewer, the water, the light. So it's taking a little longer than what we wanted, but our goal is this year, people. It is this year. So we're gonna plan our garden as if we are leaving. So that being said, I went through all my seeds and I picked the things that I am able to harvest and do everything to before we leave. So the goal will be for us to be in Tennessee by August. You know, God willing, if everything goes well, before August. So everything that I plan for 2023 has to be either already transplanted, starting from seed into our buckets, or so we can obviously leave with the bucket to Tennessee, right? So one of those is actually going to be like the sweet potato. I started the sweet potato slip, and I'm going to throw the clip here. All right, people, we're in my kitchen. So I have a cup. I'm going to put water in. And now we got to figure out the slip. So let's see what we got, shall we? I think this one will be good. So maybe halfway there. This one might be good. Most of these are looking good. I think they are. Some of these are like really dry. So I'm gonna start these out, and then if it doesn't work out for me, I can go buy sweet potato to make my sweet potato slips. The whole concept is toothpaste. I feel like this is deja vu because I do this every year. So let me see. They all got a touch. So go like this, and maybe this. Maybe this. I think you're the tip. Because then, oh no, I don't want to do that. You need to be able to make sure they all touch somewhere. So I think it'll be you. I think the cup is too wide. So touching the water. You don't know. Oh. I think so. Delaney, don't make fun of me. I'm experimenting. They're all touching the water. Yay! Alright guys, same spot next to the window. They're all touching the water. I put a cup just in case the water overflows, but here it is. Stage 1 of sweet potato slip. So as you saw, we did our sweet potato slip. So that'll start growing. Obviously today is January 22nd, Sunday. And the slip is gonna take a couple of months before it actually turns into a slip. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the ones that I did because they were really small. So I gotta make sure that it actually is able to work to do my slip. So I'm gonna give it like a couple of weeks, and if I don't see anything in like a week or two, then I'm gonna go get me an organic sweet potato and then start from fresh. Those sweet potatoes that I did today showing you how I start my slips were actually from my garden. But what's been happening is I get so excited, right, of doing this garden stuff that I forget when I planted it because I never write it down. I have the videos to go back to, but then I don't realize that I still need more time. So I kept harvesting my sweet potato before the time. So I got a good size, obviously, sweet potatoes, but those we ended up cutting them up. They're in the freezer. We cook with them. And then the little ones are the ones that I left for seed, and I don't know if it's actually going to work. So if in 2 weeks it doesn't work, then I'll go to the organic place near me and buy, you know, a sweet potato so I can make the slips again. But besides that, so like the sweet potato, we're putting them in the usual containers that we usually do, because then when you harvest them, it's supposed to be August 26th. So I'm hoping that by organizing myself, putting days, putting it in the calendar that I see daily, because I see this every single day in my life because I keep myself organized with work. So I open this every single day. So by opening it up, having it in the calendar, I know that Saturday, whatever, August 26th, I'm supposed to be harvesting the sweet potatoes, and it sort of reminds me not to touch the sweet potato, right? So I went in and I decided to do sweet potato, sweet peppers, a few cabbages, not a lot, tomatoes, definitely a lot of tomatoes, spinach, kale, regular potatoes, beets, yellow beets, cucumbers, carrots, beans, green beans, and garlic. So the garlic I already did in 2022. That was like sort of, I think, 2 videos before my last video, I think, or it was my last video. So I planted the garlic. The garlic is another one that they come out like this small, and I think it's because I'm picking them when I'm not supposed to be. So I started it early, put them down in September. I think that's when the video went up. And according to the app, I'm not supposed to harvest it till after May 6th. So I do have an app called Planter. So it's called Planter. And I want to say it's free because I don't pay for it unless you want more stuff. So like right here, there's one garden, but if you want to create a new garden, then you have to upgrade. So it says to unlock this feature to create another garden, you need to pay. So the free one only gives you one garden. And this is the exact garden I had technically for 2022. I just took some stuff out of here, rearranged a few things, and obviously deleted some because I don't have them for this year, for 2023. Like, I'm not doing onions in 2023. The asparagus is already growing, is already in a container. The blueberry, the raspberries, those are all already growing in a container, so I don't have to worry about it. I took out the onions because I'm not growing onions this year. So I did have onions in here and I deleted them out just so I don't pay for the additional fee of adding another garden when I can just use the same one and delete and add whatever I want, right? So obviously this is not the order is going to be in my containers. I just needed to know the dates of specific things. So according to this, like the garlic, right, I have like 10 containers full of garlic. So I don't need to put 10 garlic containers. This tells you exactly when to plant them, how to space them, whether it's frost tolerant, does it accept, you know, seasoning cool, how many times to water it, when does it germinate, and how long does it take to harvest. So that's when I sowed it outside through September. So if you go and you calculate from the time I sowed them, I think it was either September or October, you calculate the 240 days, it gives me May 6th of this garden year. It also gives you companion plantings that you can do, what plants are not good for it. It also tells you what kind of pests will try to get in it. So it's kind of cool because, you know, the app does give you a lot of information, which is great. But so I went in yesterday and I did all the ones that I want. Saw that when am I supposed to start it inside, if I'm supposed to start it inside. So there's a few that I gotta start inside, like the sweet pepper, the cabbage, the tomatoes, kale, and cucumber are to be started inside. How long it takes to germinate, and you should see when things germinate, because then it tells you whether or not it's actually working, right? And actually if your seed is alive, basically. And then you have the day you have to transplant them. So this is to transplant them outside. So I have, let's start with, let's say the sweet potato. I'm supposed to start the seed February 11. I'm supposed to start seeing a germination around March 4th. And then I'm supposed to transplant them May 22nd. Then I'm supposed to start harvesting June 3rd, the actual harvest. So I find this very useful, right? Because now I have the dates that I can go look to see if my germination really worked. Sort of a date of when you can transplant them. The rule of thumb is here in Connecticut, because I'm in Connecticut, we're zone 7 something. And then my last frost date is April 9th according to the almanac. And my first frost is supposed to be November 11th for Connecticut. But since we're in the middle of the transitioning to Tennessee, my Tennessee is going to be April 18th for the last frost and October 25th for the first frost. Now, the reason the dates are different is obviously it's a different altitude. We're in a mountain, things are colder, and I guess that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to figure it out when we get there, right? We did get some greenhouses that we have to install, so if anything I can put them in there and then wait a year to actually feel the climate and all that stuff. That's another day for that one. But everything that's here, most of it I decided to put sort in a container. So when I wrote this down, I decided to put it in my book because yesterday is when I sat down and did it. I'm putting my dates here because I totally forgot to put my dates, and so I can have it, so I can remember. And then it was 4/18 and 10/25. Okay, then I went in because I'm new at this Hobonichi. I haven't done, I think all of my plannings before was bullet journaling and that kind of stuff, but this is my first Hobonichi. And lately I haven't been able to figure out what to do with the weeklies, and now I know what I'm gonna do with my weeklies besides putting in my work schedule. So I usually go in and I put in my work schedule. So like this is this week. Today is Sunday. And I usually go in, I put whether I work or not. I put it in my usual work schedule, somewhere in between. I started putting in the weather because the weather is going to help me with the garden. So the weather, I started putting it in just so I can get the groove of things. Right now, I don't care about the weather. But starting in a couple of weeks, now that I know what I'm going to plant, the weather is very important to me. So that being said, now I know what I'm gonna do with my weeklies. So besides scheduling appointments, so like this week we are in week 4, which I haven't done yet. So I do have my appointments, that kind of stuff, whether or not we work in our side hustles. And then what I ended up doing is I ended up putting the stuff that I'm gonna plant. So starting in February, when I come plan this week and I put the weather, I get to put in, I'm supposed to start my seeds inside, the sweet pepper and the cabbage. So those are the 2 first ones that I'm supposed to start inside, according to the package of the seed and according to the app. So the app and the package gave me sort of off days, right? So like they gave me, I don't know, Friday 10th for one day. The package said Friday 10th, but the app said like the following week, Monday the 14th or whatever, right? Or Tuesday the 14th. What I ended up doing is, obviously I don't do gardening unless it's on the weekend because obviously I work. So what I ended up doing, I went somewhere in between and I put it on that Saturday. So that helps me out because obviously I don't do gardening till Saturday. So Saturday the 11th, I'll be doing the sweet pepper and the cabbage inside, downstairs in the basement in my mini greenhouse, right? Then I went in and did that with all of my seeds. This one says start inside the tomato, and I should start seeing the germination of the cabbage. Then I can plant the spinach all around the beds outside because spinach is a cold crop weather kind of plant, so it can tolerate cold weather. And that one you harvest, I guess, as you see the leaves, right? Everybody knows what a spinach look like. So that one I can do on the ground around the house, on the beds around the house, and then I can just harvest them as I see them, right? So I put plant spinach all around the house bed. So that'll be the stairs going down the stairs. That will be the front bed that's in front of the bay window, and the beds on the side. And don't forget, spinach is like a really small plant to the ground, so I can plant other things probably around it, is my guess. I would have to look in the app to make sure it's a companion plant. That's about it. On March 4th, I gotta buy my potato seeds. So these, what I usually end up doing is I buy organic potatoes from the store. So I don't buy actual seeds. I don't go to the store and buy actual seeds because, one, we don't have the space for it, and two, it's like a big bag. So like if I go to my garden center, which is not that far from me, I can find in the garden center, the potato seeds in a bag, but it's like a 5-pound bag. And right now, since we're leaving, we don't have the space for that. I only have a few big containers that we use for potatoes, and that's my limit. So for the potato 5-pound bags, we're not going to do until we're actually in Tennessee and we have the garden going. So that's why I don't buy the seed potatoes. Once we get to Tennessee and have the garden going, then I will buy the 5-pound or the 20 pounds of seed potatoes, unless I have my own. So if I have my own, then obviously I'd rather do that going forward. But going back to this, I'm gonna buy my seed potato March 4th. Then it says I should see my sweet potatoes germinate. So that is another hint for me that On March 4th, when I go downstairs to go look at my seedlings, I should see sweet peppers germinating. Now, if I don't see sweet peppers germinating, it does not mean that I need this week to see the sweet potato germinate, the sweet peppers, sorry, germinate. But I would think sometime around this week, if I don't see it germinate, I can start new seeds to make sure I get a sweet pepper to germinate. So it doesn't take that long for sweet peppers to germinate. So according to the app and the calendar and the seed packet, it takes 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? No, sweet peppers, I think it was more. About 4 weeks. Between 3 to 4 weeks. No, I think it was 2 weeks, and I added the additional week. So if I don't see this germination on this day, I think that's what I ended up doing, is this day I know I can plant more new seeds to see if they germinate. Don't forget, seeds might germinate, might not germinate. So as long as I keep track like this, I think I'm able to not waste time and be able to get something to germinate. So by this Saturday, if my sweet peppers didn't germinate, I know I can start another tray with more sweet peppers to see if those germinate, and then it takes 2 weeks from this day for them to germinate. So I also have a task to change my baking soda in the fridge. Sorry, that has nothing to do with regarding. Then on the 11th, I'm supposed to see the tomato germinate, and I'm supposed to start my kale seed. So same concept. If I don't see the tomato germinate, I can start new seeds, and then I'm supposed to start the kale seed. So this is the part that I'm loving about this, because I know every week I'm gonna be planning my week for work. So I will see that this day I am gonna be doing something for the garden, right? And usually I don't plan for Sunday because we go to church and it's a free day. So if I don't get to do it on Saturday because we're doing something, then we can do it on Sunday. Spinach is supposed to start germinating. So after March 18th, I can start obviously clipping spinach, right? So, and putting it in the freezer for my smoothies or the soups. I'm supposed to plant the seed potatoes that I brought 3 or 4 weeks before, and then I leave them out in the sun somewhere in my kitchen, out in the open, so they can start creating the seed. So what happens is I leave them out, then they start obviously becoming a seed of potato that on March 25th I can plant my potatoes outside. Now what I've noticed from previous things that I've done in the past versus writing it down and physically seeing it is I was doing this wrong, because I was not planting my potatoes in March. I think we were doing it after. We were doing it after Mother's Day. So we were doing it about 2 months later on my potatoes, and I think that's why they were so small. So if you've seen my videos of me harvesting my potatoes or harvesting my stuff, usually they were really small, and I guess it's because I was not focusing and did not know. Well, I probably knew, right? No, I did not know. I think I just found it on the app that it told me when to plant my potatoes, or I saw this. Let's see, did it say it in the app? I want to say yes, I found it in the app. So I put this is my sweet potato, you see, sweet potatoes, and then this is my regular potato. So here it is. It told me in the app, and I think because I was doing the potatoes all the time, I never paid attention to the potato in the app. So that was my bad. So it says sow outside between March 29 and June 1st. So I think I wasn't doing it on time. So we're gonna go ahead and go by the app to see if I see anything different, right? So I'm planting the potatoes on March 25th. It says sow beets all around. So I can do the beet seeds on March 25th directly into the soil. So at least wherever I got spinach, maybe I can put a couple of beets. I want to say those are companion plants. Let's see, spinach, companion planting. The other cool thing about this is, let's say I want to put the spinach next to, what did I just say? Beets, right? So where's my beet? Where's my beet? Oh, I don't have the beet in here. So when you want to add a plant, this is what you do. And within the app, you pick what you want, which I'm looking for beet. I'm sure I can type it, but turnip, beets. So what happens is, if you do the down arrow, you choose your favorite, and I have the golden. But if you hit the beet, the next tab over is varieties, and they have a bunch of varieties that you can choose from. So I have the yellow as my favorite. They even have some of the seeds that I actually have, like burpees, bell reds. So you gotta just pick like the closest one. If they don't have the seed, that's what I did. But they do have a lot of different varieties. So I already put the golden beet in here. So what you can do is you go like this, and if you want to put it with the spinach, it's gonna tell you whether or not you can put it with the spinach. So you see, let's see, can I put it in the next square? So it doesn't tell me if whether or not I can put it with, ooh, sorry. Oh no. I want to add spinach. What happened to my spinach? I think it overrode. So if I go here, so if you put it next to it, you just have to make sure you grab it and drag it. It will tell you whether or not it can be next to each other. So this is my kale, and you see how the kale, between the kale and my tomato, is red. The arrow is red instead of green. The kale cannot be there because it's too close to the tomato. But so you see, now it's gone. The red is gone. But that really doesn't matter to me because this is not my plot. I do things in buckets. But I can put kale and beets together because I don't see nothing red in the same area. Okay. Whew, that was a lot. So I can sow the beets around with the spinach. I should see my kale germinate. I got to transplant my cabbage into containers. And then I am supposed to sow inside my cucumber seed, all on the 25th. Now the cabbage, I decided to put it in containers. Last year I did containers and they got eaten by slugs. So I am going to cover them with a cloth or something over it. I got to Google it and figure out what I'm going to cover them with. But I am going to cover them since they're going to be in containers, just so they don't get eaten by slugs. So I'm going to do that this year. And since they're in a container, it should be pretty easy. It shouldn't be too hard. April 8th. So April 8th. So here I wrote down that this is my last frost in Connecticut. April 8th, I should see my cucumbers germinate, my beets starting to germinate outside. I can sow the carrots directly into my green stalk, and I put that I want to do the bed next to the steps where I had the leeks last year. So because I do have enough time for harvesting carrots before we leave, which is great, so I can use that bed. And then it says to sow the kale plant, so I can put the kale plant, I can also transplant the kale plant outside in a container, right? Because then the kale plant, actually I don't need to put it outside. I can actually put it in any of the beds, because harvesting kale goes throughout as you see the leaves, and you can start harvesting as soon as July. So I think I'm pretty safe to put it outdoors. Next one was This is gonna be a long video. April 22nd. According to the app, I'm supposed to start transplanting my sweet potato slips, but I put in there a little note to keep an eye on the weather because they are not that tolerable to cold weather. They can die. So I gotta look at the temperature, make sure we don't have anything that drops crazy and it kills my my sweet potato slips. Then it says I can put beans all around the house and in containers, and I can sow outside the green beans directly, and then I can transplant the tomatoes in containers if the weather. So all of this is based on the weather. I should see my potatoes germinating on this day. So once I get here, I can keep an eye on the weather. And if the weather is okay, then this is okay to happen. Because technically, we usually don't transplant until after Mother's Day. And Mother's Day is like 4 weeks after that. But according to the almanac, we shouldn't be getting any more cold front weather. So that's why I want to keep an eye on the weather. According to this, on May 6th, I can harvest the garlic. I'm supposed to see carrots, beans, and green beans germinating, right? So the ones germinating are all based on the weather from the prior few weeks. Then Mother's Day, obviously. So after this, anything is safe because I believe the weather will be fine after Mother's Day. Then here I have May 20th. I can transplant. The weather should be nice enough to transplant the cucumbers, transplant the sweet peppers into containers. The other thing I have to do, that before I start transplanting into containers, I'm supposed to count how many containers I actually have. And I should be safe if I harvest the garlic, right? According to this, if I harvest the garlic that first week of May, I should have all those containers available for me to transplant either peppers or tomatoes, which no matter what happens, they're coming with us to Tennessee. Here it says harvest sweet peppers, so sweet peppers should start popping up. I can harvest carrots as soon as June 10. I can harvest the beans as soon as June 17. I can harvest green beans as soon as June 24th. I can harvest beets. I can harvest cucumbers. Now, let's not forget that all these items are good right now. And as the weather gets warmer, obviously they get bad. So I want to say these things won't pass August because August is brutal, right? So this one says harvest the cabbage by at least the first week of July. I can harvest my potatoes. I can harvest cucumbers as soon as July 8th come. And I want to say that is true, especially for the cucumber, because I have witnessed where my plant really stopped producing in the heat. So I did see that. And then after that, I don't have hardly anything else except for the sweet potatoes, because the sweet potatoes is the longest one that takes to harvest. It's like 200 and something days. So it says harvest sweet potatoes on August 26th. And by then, I put slips and I don't know why. And by then, we should hopefully be in Tennessee. That's the goal. So that's why everything has to be actually in my containers. Now, obviously in here, I did not put, I think I put the last, the first frost date in here for Tennessee, and I put the first frost date for Connecticut just in case we don't, right, end up leaving. But I want to say I did. I thought I did November 1st. I didn't see it. Did I miss it? Come on. Oh yeah, first frost date. First frost in Tennessee. No. Wrong one. Not Tennessee. This one is Connecticut. Tennessee is October. Ah. Oh no, this one was right. So here's the first frost date. So I put both just in case, because you never know. I want to say by the end of sometime in July, we should know whether or not we will be here or we're actually leaving. So if the plans change where we don't leave, then obviously I have a longer time to put more things. And by that time, I know I can do a second sowing of cucumbers or second sowing of whatever. So I would know if by that time we're not leaving. So then what happens is it actually works for me, because whatever is here on the weeklies, I end up putting it here on the dailies. So then it ends up here, and then obviously I see it every day because I go in here and I do my work here every day. So it works out for me. But I guess I will see you guys when I see my sweet potato slips growing. And I think the first thing we will be doing, and obviously I will be doing a video on it, it will be the slips, if I'm able to get slips. And February 11th, I will making a video of start my seeds inside for the cabbage and the sweet pepper. So I will see you guys on week 6 and February 11th for the sweet peppers and the cabbage. Thank you for watching. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.